Welcome back, book nerds. I thought that I would talk about the books that I read this year that I rated 5 stars. Now, I've talked about my reading slump that I went through this year. So, unfortunately, I only read and completed and rated about 16 books. Like I said, there were other books that I read and I started and didn't finish, even if I read most of it and just put it aside. There's not a very big pool of books to draw from in this year's little bit of my 5-star wrap up video, but this is what we've got. So I thought I would quickly go through those. I have 5 of them, and then maybe at the end I will talk about some of my reading goals for 2026. So let's get started. These are in order in which I read them. At the start of the year, I read The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I have my computer here as a reference. This book is about a summer camp and a rich family that owns the camp and the large mansion that is just up the way from the camp. And it's basically a story of the family. It's told in 2 timelines in a way, because there was a missing persons event that happened in the past, and then in the present there is another missing person. And this was such a good character-driven story. It's very atmospheric and it really settles you into the scene. It really just pulled me in, and it was just so gripping. I really loved it. I loved that it kept me guessing until the end. I really didn't see the twists and the turns. It was very unexpected. It had that eerie vibe at certain points. To relate it to what's that one with Michael Myers in the summer camp? Not quite that dark. It was really fun just seeing the different perspectives, because it is told from multiple perspectives, and the different timelines and how they gradually unfolded. Everything was layered together in such a way. It really, really worked for me. Yeah, I have not read anything else by Liz Moore, but I would really love to. I think she was a really great writer. She really got the concept of storytelling through the characters and through the atmosphere and not telling you. She was very good at showing us and letting us experience it, almost felt firsthand. The next book that I rated 5 stars was Nestlings by Nat Cassidy. Man, this book was so freaking good. This is the first book I had ever read by Nat Cassidy, and I was so pleasantly surprised. I actually started his other book, Mary. Haven't gotten through it yet. But this book is about Anna and Reed, and they have a new baby. And it is very reminiscent of Rosemary's Baby, in that they win this lottery and get into this like elite apartment building. It's very old and very gothic. It has gargoyles. Some of the people that already live there are very odd. At the start of their time living there, the husband, I think he loses his job, if I remember correctly. And so one of the old standing members of this building offers him a job as her assistant. And so this incident actually begins the path of divergence between husband and wife, and all these creepy and eerie things begin to happen. I do think that it was very heavily inspired by Rosemary's Baby in all the best ways, and I think it picked up on all of the really good parts of that book and even brought them to life even more. It was very eerie and just really, really worked for me. So then it should be no surprise that the next book that I read and rated 5 stars was Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levins. This was a book that I had not read. I think it was originally published in the 60s. Yeah, in 1967. I had seen the movie or parts of the movie, and I had never read the book. So I picked this up thinking, I'm not really sure what I was going to think of it. And man, oh man, I love this book. This is now ranked among one of the top horror books that I've ever read because of the macabre ambiance that it pulls you into. It felt very true to the era. I loved some of the tenants that live there. Again, like they're just so odd. and it really just adds to the atmosphere. They are like a part of the building, essentially. It does take a much different and darker turn than Nestlings did, and I really loved it. The ending really worked for me. The characters were great. The main character, you can see her decline. You can see her mental struggles as she's trying to mentally battle with herself about what she thinks is happening and what is actually happening. Are they the same thing, or is she going crazy? Is it the pregnancy? This, that, and the other. There's a kind of a lot of pieces at play here, and you never really know who to trust, which added to the overall effectiveness of this story. I love this book. I thought it was such a good read. If you haven't read it, you should. The next book I read is a novella. It's only like 108 pages, and that is A Short Stay in Hell by Stephen Peck. This book is about a man's experience in hell, or what you might consider purgatory. And this hell, this purgatory, is a library. It's a never-ending library. There's floors and floors and miles of books. They are told that in order to escape this purgatory, this library, they must find the book within the library that tells their story. As you can imagine, with there being this unending shelves upon shelves upon shelves of books, and other individuals there experiencing the same thing. It's really an exploration of hell and of how our lives interpret our afterlife experience and who we are as individuals and how that comes to play in the outside of our world. I've heard other booktubers talk about this book and say how much they really loved it and how fun of a read it was. It is ominous and disturbing in a weird sort of way. But for us book lovers, I almost question, is that really hell or purgatory? But I guess, so the books themselves, you couldn't actually read them. A lot of what was inside the books was gibberish or just letters and a bunch of nothingness. And so you can see how that would lend to madness and mayhem and discord. That's exactly what kind of happens in this book, and it's really something that you should experience for yourself. It's kind of hard to put into words. And the final book is one that I just recently read and finished, and that is The Strength of the Few, which is book 2 in the Hierarchy series by James Islington. I loved this book. I thought that it was so excellently done. I think that what he managed to pull off was completely crazy and mesmerizing and just magnificent. The world building that he accomplishes, that he provides in this book, is so intricate and well thought out. It really takes a 180-degree turn from the first book, and I personally loved that aspect of it. I loved the first book, but I thought this one was so much better. I thought that the character development of our main character was better. I don't think that James Islington necessarily is a character-driven writer, but our main character in the story, Vise, he really goes through some changes, some developments that couldn't have been accomplished in any other way. This story basically takes part in 3 parallel worlds or timelines in which Vise is basically split into 3. Each of these worlds, one, I think, from my understanding, my interpretation, is meant to be hell, one is meant to be heaven, and one is meant to be the normal, everyday world. Watching him learn about himself, learn about the world and the history and the things that have happened to culminate in what they are experiencing now, currently. It was just really, really excellent and so mind-blowing, the things that this man has come up with. Very original, very interesting and intense. I really loved it. I thought it was so, so good. Were there things that could have maybe been done better or were not perfect? Sure, but that's any book that you read. It's not going to be perfect for every reader. If you're a very character-driven person, maybe this isn't the one for you. But if you love a great plot and a great, unique setting, I think this one is definitely one that you should try out. So those are the 5. I am really hoping next year to read more books. That is one of my main goals. Now, I have mentioned before that I have much more limited time to read now that I'm working a full-time job and we have a puppy and this, that, and the other. I read maybe an hour a day. Some days I don't read at all. It just kind of depends. But I really do hope to read more. I would at least like to read 25 books. I know that's a low goal. I know some booktubers are reading in the hundreds of books in a year, which just blows my mind because never in my life have I ever been able to get to that point. I think the most books I've ever read in 1 year is like 45, maybe 50. And that was when I wasn't working. So that's my number one goal. My other goal is not to put stress on myself, not to make TBRs that I know I'm not going to stick to because I am very much a mood reader. And especially in this phase of my reading life, when I've just come out of such a huge, horrendous book slump, I don't want to do anything to jeopardize my continuing reading future. So I'm just going to very much stick with what I feel like picking up in the moment. That's not to say that I don't have certain books that I kind of have my eye on and I think I might want to read soon. Sure, I do. In all likelihood, I'm not going to make a TBR. I will probably try to upload to YouTube at least 2 or 3 times a month. Maybe it's going to be a book haul. Maybe it's going to be a reading vlog. Maybe it's going to be a favorites video. Maybe it's going to be a book review. I don't know. I'm just going to go where the wind blows me and do this for fun, do this for enjoyment, and hope that you guys enjoy the ride and want to come along with me. I would also really like to maybe get into buddy reading if I can find a good group that aligns with my interests and my reading taste. But again, so far as that doesn't put any pressure on my reading. So that is something else I would like to do. I would like to pick back up maybe on some of the series that I have begun and not finished, like the Expanse series. I would also really love to start Lord of the Rings. I would like to read at least 1 or 2 classics this year. I think that I do a pretty good job of reading widely and not sticking within any one genre. I really love to read literary fiction, contemporary fiction, sci-fi, fantasy, classics, horror. I don't think that I pigeonhole myself into any one genre. I would like to continue that trend, but I think that's it. I think that my goals are going to be pretty able to obtain. I don't think that they are too heavy or too asking too much of myself. And so, I think that I can do this. So I would love to know what your favorite 5-star read that you read this year was, and also what is a goal that you have for 2026 as far as your reading plans? Drop me a comment down below. And until then, I will talk to you later. Bye!